So we're on episode 2.
Yeah.
So we're at 100% improvement over episode 1. And we've proved that we can do something twice in a row. And we got an intro song to start out, though. So I think you got to start it with the intro song.
I'm going to start out with Randy Stonehill this week. This song near and dear to me, Little Lung Cancer.
She went down to the corner store and bought a pack of Filter Kings. Don't you know tomorrow she'll be back for more? 'Cause she really loves to smoke those things. And every time that she inhales, I call her that cigarette smoke. She's just one step closer to the man in black and 60 cents closer to broke. She's been working on lung cancer, emphysema, a cardiac arrest, and she'll probably have a stroke when she sees the X-rays of her chest. When she had her first cigarette, a puff or two was all she could take. Now if she doesn't have one in her hand all the time, you notice it began to shake, baby. Even though she's not alive and acts as if her habits are choke. She won't do too much laughing when her life goes up in smoke. She's been smoking that C-I-G-A-R-E-T-T-E. That cigarette's got her on her knees. C-I-G-A-R-E-T-T-E. That dark tobacco won't set her free. Alright, suck, baby, suck. Suck on that cigarette. Go on and light up that bag and take a drag. It's not a stop you get. She went down to the corner store and bought a pack of Filter Kings. Hey, don't you know tomorrow she'll be back for more? 'Cause she really loves to smoke those things. And every time that she inhales, I call her that cigarette smoke. She's just one step closer to the man in black and 60 cents closer to broke. She's been working on lung cancer, emphysema, a cardiac arrest, and she'll probably have a stroke when she sees the X-rays of her chest. That she's been smoking that C-I-G-A-R-E-T-T-E.
Randy Stonehill with a song that's very close to me as a smoker. Never took offense at the song, though, but it's a funny tune. There's a line in that song where he goes, 60 cents poorer. Boy, I tell you, if you don't know when this smokes, we dream of a day of 60 cents packs of cigarettes. Though I do remember $1. I do remember smoking. Anyway, smoking's bad for you, children. Please don't take up smoking. There, I've said my bit.
Good to go.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Did my disclaimer. Okay, folks, just tell you real quick, last night here in our hometown, home studio here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, we actually did a showing of the documentary about Larry Norman, Fallen Angel. And you know what? Even if you're a huge Larry fan, I think it's worth seeing. I think it's informational
That's a kind of a
enough.
disclaimer, though, right? Even if you're a fan, you should see the documentary about Larry. So,
yeah, you're right. That's not...
So before we saw it, I actually had a few people say to me, oh, that show? You're going to watch that show?
Yeah.
Because it's it became known as kind of a diss movie on Larry.
Yes.
Especially if you see some of the stuff on YouTube. There's clips on YouTube from the documentary. People
Yes.
saying, "Hey, Larry Norman's a big faker," kind of thing.
Yeah, if you see the clips on YouTube, I think Scott would agree with me. That isn't really a very fair representation of the documentary.
No, you're right. Ray.
It's not. It's very negative, and the documentary is not that negative. It is.
It's honest.
It's honest, but it's not as severe as all the trailers show. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, Scott, take us through. You had some impressions of what we watched last night. Talk to us.
So coming away from it, so we were going in with this theory of, hey, somebody's going to bash our idol here, and Larry. We listened to his music, we looked up to him, we followed his every move, all that sort of stuff. So we kind of went into it thinking, well, somebody's going to say bad things about Larry.
Yeah.
And there was some negativity to it, but in the big picture, as a rock and roll documentary, he came off pretty nice. Is kind of the consensus we came to, because after we watched the show together, the group of us that was there, we kind of discussed it, and one of the things that somebody said was, well, in terms of rock and roll, this is really mild.
Yeah.
Like, if you watch a documentary on any rock band, and I'm not saying just Christian rock band here, hey, stuff happens in rock and roll, and what happened with these guys, it's not how we want things to go in our life, but it wasn't that big of a deal.
No, that's
in
true.
the big picture, and especially when you consider, who are we anyways? Like, if I say, well, Larry didn't live as good as life of me, as good as it didn't, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I'm not going to say that. So, as a Christian artist, I mean, obviously we hold people up to a higher standard, and I'm going to say for no good reason, because they're just people.
Here's something that didn't even occur to me last night when we were talking, just occurred to me now. Larry's roots were in the secular rock industry.
Yeah, and that came out a little more. I learned
Yeah.
some stuff there, and I mean, we knew about People as a band, but the comparisons. If you haven't heard People, Herman's Hermits was a good comparison.
Yeah.
The Turtles, all that kind of stuff that was happening around that time. That was what their sound was, and they were in it, and they were good at it.
Yeah, they were. So, Larry's background. How do I say this? The Christian music scene, as we know it, really wasn't in effect when Larry started. Really, was it?
I don't think so, because I mean, we are talking the '60s, not the '80s, not the '70s. It was the '60s.
Yeah, when he started with People, it was '68 or something. They had that big hit.
Yeah, they had a
Or was it
national
70?
radio single with "I Love You,"
Yeah.
which was, and again, it's not even the same version of "I Love You" as what we heard on it.
No, it isn't.
And
Go ahead and talk. I'm just going to check the year on that.
yeah, and they had some success. They were getting good gigs around California, and they were not what seemed to be billed as a Christian band. But then there was this change all of a sudden, and then Larry went off on his own, and there's even dispute about why he went off on his own, but the fact is he did.
Yep.
And then he started really focusing on, hey, I'm making Christian music. And one of the things he said in the documentary was, why is this Christian music? Well, it's because I'm a Christian and I'm making music. It wasn't any other reason. It was because it doesn't matter what I sing about. I'm a Christian, I'm making music, therefore this is Christian music, period. End of story.
Yeah. We all know how that worked out in a little bit of time. Not so much for Larry, but for the rest of the Christian music industry. But we're not going to get there today.
Well, true enough.
That's for a future podcast, or 2 or 3 anyways. But
yeah.
Anyways. So, going to segue into the artist of the week. The artist of the week is Randy Stonehill. So,
Right, if you hadn't guessed already, we just heard Randy
Yeah,
Stonehill
we did.
doing Lung Cancer.
yeah, we did a song of Randy Stonehill mocking me. But,
And you know what? I couldn't believe that was 1976 when I looked it up.
yeah.
But, well, that album was recorded in 1976.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good old-fashioned rock and roll. We listened to it in the 80s, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I personally discovered that album, it was probably when I discovered a lot of this other stuff, like around 82 or something
Yeah.
like that. And,
Yeah.
it's good music, and it's still good music.
Yeah. That song really showed Randy's quirky side too. His
Yeah,
fun,
he's got
quirky
that.
side.
He's making fun. It's serious, but it's kind of like haha, only serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, Scott, segue us into Norman's Kitchen, which we got the true story of last night in this documentary. Now, we thought we all had an idea, but we got the Randy Stonehill version of the song we're going to play next. Tell us the story,
I forgot
Scott.
where we're going, but
Yeah.
behind you there, pick up that black record that's behind you there. So Norman's Kitchen is a song that I didn't hear for a very long time, but it's from Randy's first record.
Yeah.
And this is the one from 1973, I think we decided it was.
73 is the registered ISBN date.
Yeah. So he's got so this is a song called, or an album called Born Twice by Randy Stonehill. It's actually his first recording, and it was produced by Larry Norman. Side 1 is a bunch of live stuff. Side 2 is some studio stuff, but it's kind of rough cut. I will say it's basically like a demo. And in 1973, when you had if you made a demo record and went around shopping to the record companies, a demo record was literally a record,
Okay.
not a MP3, not a cassette.
Yeah, it would have been
was
a vinyl pressing back then.
Yeah, so this would be like a demo record going for a major label to sign you.
Gotcha.
And so that's why some of this stuff is a little rough cut.
Yeah.
And it's not polished in the way that a real studio production would
Right,
be, because
right.
they're looking for a label.
Right. That makes perfect sense.
So there's a few songs on here that ended up being famous songs by Larry Norman in the end.
Yeah. That became very confusing over time.
Yeah, and then when I listen to this, I'm going, wait a minute, this is a Larry Norman song, but actually it's on Randy's first album,
Yeah.
which was produced by Larry, so now what's up anyway?
That becomes horribly confusing.
But Norman's Kitchen. So Norman's Kitchen is a cool song, and it's there's something they talked about on the documentary. Randy had made a big appearance in the documentary. He spent a lot of time on the screen there, talking about the time that Randy drove up to his house in L.A., I think.
Yeah, it was
And,
LA, wasn't it?
He was standing in Larry's kitchen washing the dishes because he wanted to be a good guest.
Yeah.
And Larry came over and said, I want to pray with you. And then there was this whole big story. But this song came out of it called Norman's Kitchen. And I'm just going to look on here out of sheer curiosity. The songwriting credits are not even on here.
Oh, okay.
It says arranged and produced by Larry Norman.
Yeah.
But maybe we should just listen to that song, that Norman's Kitchen. It's quirky, it's fun, and it's an actual story about a thing that really happened.
Yes. So here it is. Randy Stonehill and Larry's Kitchen. Norman's Kitchen, pardon me.
I got stoned in Norman's kitchen. We was talking about the facts of life. He asked me, was I happy? As I reached for the butter knife, I said no, and I made a sandwich, and I poured myself a cup of tea. When that cat started praying, the spirit fell on me. I got up to use the bathroom. I said, excuse me, please, but I couldn't help from laughing, and I felt shaky in the knees as I leaned against the mirror. My heart let out a sigh, like something heavy left me, and I opened up my eyes. I can see I am free, and I'm who I wanna be. Mercy me, mercy me, mercy me. Ooh. Dusty Stockton, and I grew up in San Jose, but I never started living until I learned to pray. Now my parents, they ignore me. They say I've gotten strange, but when you're touched by heaven, you know that something's bound to change. Well, I can't see that I am free, and I'm who I wanna be. Mercy me, mercy me, mercy me. Shoo-be-doo-ba-ba-ba. I can see I am free, and I'm who I wanna be. Mercy me, mercy, mercy, mercy me, mercy me. Whoa, 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 whoa. I can see I'm free. I can be free now. I can be the me I wanna be now. Mercy me, mercy, mercy me, mercy me. Yahweh to ya, Yahweh's talking to ya. Sure, I can see. Do who I wanna be. Mercy me, shooby-doo, mercy me, JC, shooby-doo, bop, bop, bop. Mercy me, yeah.
So that's Randy Stonehill and Norman's Kitchen. Strangely, that song was actually covered. Was also done by Larry. And geez, I might toss that in as the last song. I might toss that in today.
It'd be a nice closer because it's that version, it was on, I think, on the Home at Last album,
Yeah.
and it was it sounds very different, but it's a little more full band, a little more studio.
Yeah.
And, I like that.
Yeah, it's. We'll play it at the end. We'll intro it then. We'll tell you a little bit about it. Anyway, so now we're going to go on to what has Randy done lately. Randy, as near as I can tell by reading, has continued to tour, mainly in churches and small venues. I know he hasn't come to where we are, because there was generally a consensus between all of us that we'd go see him again if we had a chance, but we haven't had a chance. But he has put out a couple albums, and the one I sort of zeroed in on was the 2011 album, which is, now that I've forgotten the name of it, Spirit Walks. Spirit Walk. The single off of it is Spirit Walk. I listened to the whole album. I don't really think it was the single. That's just my opinion, and that's going to be represented with what I choose to play off of it. So anyway, coming back to that. Anyway, so I'm going to play you a song off his 2011 album, Spirit Walk. And this song kind of shows the quirky, fun side of Randy.
Yeah, well, and you know what? It's outside the 80s, so I might not know this song. So.
Yeah, well, it does. How do I put it? You know what? It's a good rock and roll tune with Randy's signature having a little bit of fun. Let's have a listen to it. Believe it or not, it's called Blood Transfusion and a Coca-Cola. Let's give it a listen.
Oh, that's a Randy song.
I got a touch of arthritis in my hips. Got a bird's eye view of the apocalypse. I got blisters on my fingertips from trying to hold my life with a real tight grip. My ears are still ringing from the gibberish of lies. These shifting sands have worn a lot of the tread off my tires. Put some rock and roll on the old Victrola. I need a blood transfusion and a Coca-Cola. I want the Holy Ghost to bless my soul. Yeah, I need a blood transfusion and a Coca-Cola. That's what I need. Yes, indeed. Yeah, got a swollen nose and a chipped front tooth. I had a dust up down at the kissing booth. I thought true love was calling me. Well, it was a case of mistaken identity. I'm not saying I'm self-destructive. That may be the case. In the dictionary, by the word is a picture of my face. Put some rock and roll on the old Victrola. I need a blood transfusion and a Coca-Cola. I want the Holy Ghost to bless my soul. Yeah, I need a blood transfusion and a Coca-Cola. Come on. This life's a waltz on a slippery slope. I'm dizzy and bruised from the rope-a-dope. Trying with all my heart to cope. I keep shifting gears between fear and hope. I need a truckload of faith, an awful lot of guts, a laugh or two from time to time to keep from going nuts. Put some rock and roll on the old Victrola. I need a blood transfusion and a Coca-Cola. Want the Holy Ghost to bless my soul. I need a blood transfusion and a Coca-Cola. I need it. Yeah. Well. I need a blood transfusion and a Coca-Cola.
Hey, that's Randy Stonehill and blood transfusion and Coca-Cola. Now, if you listen to much of Randy in the older days, you'll recognize that fun-loving thing he's got going there.
I like the rock and roll feel. That's going back to his real roots. Randy's a guitar player.
Yeah. Actually, this whole 2011 album from him is very rock and roll oriented. And I'm about to break our own rules here. I'm going to break the rules of the show here. Usually we do... Usually last episode we did.
Every time until now, we've done it the same way, Ray.
Every time, yeah. So we do an opening tune and then a where were they and where are they now. But I'm going to break the rules this week because there's a second song.
This is why we don't script things.
This is why we don't script it.
The dog is the other reason we don't script things.
Yeah, the dog adds to the show in the end. Hey, if you're watching, by the way, if you're listening to the audio version of this,
oh yeah,
there is a video version. If you hop on over to the YouTube channel, there is a video version. It's not much more entertaining, but they'd understand the dog references.
Oh yeah. Did I tell you got us listed on Stitcher finally?
I heard that. Yes, yeah.
And it was it was a little anticlimactic, but I figured I would at least put the audio out there because I know some people like to listen to podcasts on their devices, and so there's. We're probably listed in a bunch of places, but I'm going to get on that, and we're going to kind of get listed in the places where people normally look for their podcasts. But YouTube is the reliable one at the moment.
Yeah, you have to bear with us, folks. The reality is we put out 5 or 6 albums a week on YouTube, and that in itself is basically full-time work. So we're getting to some of these other things, but where I was with that is if you're watching us with audio and you want to see the video, maybe it'll make some more sense to you, head on over to our YouTube channel, same name, Real 80s CCM, and you can see the podcast there, the video version of the podcast. How is it referenced on the web page? Can they see the video version there?
Yeah, so if
Okay.
you go to real80sccm.com, it has links to our YouTube channel, links to our Facebook group, and links to our Twitter feed.
Okay.
And the actual episodes are linked on there as well. So
Okay.
it'll show in the archives, new episode.
Excellent. Yeah. I know the website's needs a bit of work, but like I said, folks, believe it or not, putting 6 albums up on YouTube every week is pretty well full-time work, believe it or not, but it takes a lot of time. And so we're trying to fit some other things in. We're doing the best we can. We appreciate everyone who listens and everyone who supports us. But anyways, Randy Stonehill. Now I'm going to do a song, and I'm going to make a point about this song that is not going to make me very popular. This song is called Remember the Devil. And it is a good song for a lot of reasons. Now I'm going to make myself very unpopular because I think it's in the second go-round of the chorus. He's bad-mouthing a woman, and he says, remember the devil because she remembers you. And he refers to this bad girl in his life as a devil.
So, okay, wait a minute, I have a question here. So he says, remember the devil because she remembers you. So do you know that when he says she, that he's referring to the devil or referring to some woman?
I guess it could be kind of ambiguous. It could be left to... ambiguous? That's a pretty big word for me. Could be open
let it go.
interpretation. I don't know. You folks, give it a listen.
Okay, I'm gonna...
We all know I have some bitter past with certain women. So
You're doing just fine, right?
yeah, so when I hear a line like that, I kind of get a chuckle and a light, because we've spent our whole lives calling the devil a he when there's really no requirement he be a he or a she.
Well, interestingly enough, according to the Old Testament, angels are non-binary. They're neither male nor female.
Right, which would make Satan non-binary.
Right.
That's our theological lesson for the week, folks.
Okay, good to go.
That's about as serious as it gets. Hey, another Randy Stonehill tune called Remember the Devil.
Mother used to tell me, be careful what you love. It can rule your body, gets inside your blood. My father was a preacher with fire in his eyes. I thought that he was crazy. Turned out he was wise. He said, careful of the company you keep. Might be a wolf dressed up like a sheep. Remember the devil, that he remembers you. He never makes a fair deal. Best believe that's true. Know that his best trick is this, to make you think he doesn't exist. Yeah, remember the devil, he remembers you. Pocket full of diamonds, sharp edges made me bleed. Got everything I wanted, but nothing that I need. He told me not to worry, that I was in control. The liar came to rob me and steal my very soul. Careful of the company you keep. Might be a wolf dressed up like a sheep. that's true. Know that his best trick is this, to make you think he doesn't exist. Remember the devil, he remembers you. Yes, it do. Now you might think it's just a childish game. The ugly truth is he knows every face, every name. Oh, yeah. Remember the devil, he remembers you. He never makes a fair deal. You best believe that's true. That's true. And know that his best trick is this, to make you think he doesn't exist. Remember the devil, he remembers you. He remembers you. He remembers you. Yeah, Lord have mercy. He remembers you.
Now, let me know, folks, if you think that's a good tune. Put it down in the comments. I think that is one of the best rock and roll tunes I've heard since about 1986, 87. I think that's a great rock and roll tune. Scott, what do you think of that song?
Well, I don't know. I'm a pretty big fan of the Coca-Cola one, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So
That one's neat because it shows Randy's quirky side. Like
Yeah.
lung cancer we played at the beginning of the show.
yeah, and Randy did build a career out of quirky songs.
Yeah, he did. In
He had
fact,
some
I've
very
seen...
serious songs too. But and Tom, remember Tom when we were talking about this? Even when he does those quirky songs, he's dead serious.
Oh, absolutely. There's a message in those quirky songs.
yeah.
You know, it's a serious message, but he sort of lures you into the bit of humor and then hits you with the message. You know, that's what he's good at. Let's face facts. That's what he does.
Yeah, it's working for him, and I really like this album. And he hasn't put out very many albums in the last 10, 15 years. So
No.
this one from 2011 is, I think that's the only album in about 15, 20 years. Is that not?
Lots of compilation and stuff, but we all know that doesn't...
That's not. It's
those
not
are
new
usually
material, right?
Those are put out by the record company, not the performer. But
Yeah.
anyway,
But this
so
is all new material, all
new
new
material,
songs
yeah.
on here.
I'm going to try to get it up on the YouTube channel, folks. If it's not up by the time you see this this podcast, it'll be up in the next few days. So bear with us. I'm going to try to put it up. I think it's a great album, and even though it's not from the 80s, it's from a fantastic 80s artist. So
Yeah.
what the heck.
I got the impression though that he may have just done this in a studio or a home studio with a guy.
Yeah. The whole thing is with an artist name, and see if I still have it up here, and not on that page, by somebody named where was it here?
Bill?
Mike
Mike.
Pichelle, who also engineered and assisted in the production of the album. So it's Randy and Mike Pichelle. A couple of the tracks have a drummer thrown in or a bass player, but basically most of these tracks are the two of them. Thank God for multi-tracking, because they play every instrument and do each other's background vocals. So yeah,
And I'm going to say Mike Pichelle didn't make any albums in the 80s, therefore
No.
he's not that important to us, except for this, because this is really good.
And he appears on this is going to come back to the Fallen Angel documentary we were just talking about. There's an official soundtrack, and that whole soundtrack is Randy and this Mike Pichelle. So they've been working together a while, obviously, but
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I think on this soundtrack for this documentary, they re-recorded some of these songs, didn't they?
We took a look, and I think they were all brand new versions of these old songs.
Because I was
Because
listening
they
to
all
stuff
involved this
like
Mike person, and he wasn't around back then.
yeah, stuff like Counterfeit King and some of this other stuff that were classic Randy songs from back in the day. And listening to them while watching the documentary as part of the soundtrack, I was thinking, wow, I never heard that note before. And then now I think we're figuring out that
Yeah.
actually these are totally new recordings.
Yeah, there's a totally new soundtrack here, which, with any luck, we'll have our pause on, and it'll be up by the time you hear this. But we don't have that one in stock, so I got to send out the minions to do a bit of hunting for that one. So we'll see how much luck we have on that. But I'm going to try to get that up for you too, there, folks, in case you're wondering. If you haven't seen the documentary, I fully suggest it is not on YouTube. It's being heavily controlled, so it's not on YouTube. So you're going to either have to buy it or find a friend with a copy. It's not on YouTube. That said, if you watch all the trailers for it on YouTube, it's not as bad as the trailers make out. In fact, in my opinion, those trailers are a disservice to the
Yeah,
documentary.
I don't think it's well promoted online, to be honest. And even like there's a website, Fallen Angel. What is it called? Fallen Angel. It's not fallenangel.com. It's fallenangeldoc.com. If you go to that website, the website's not that great, to be honest. And so when you see it, if you can get a copy of the documentary, it's worth watching. And so the promos on YouTube, they're not that great.
No.
But the documentary is worth watching, and it leaves you with new things, a new perspective on Larry.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
not only Larry, but the people who are around him. So there's a lot of stuff about Randy Stonehill, Daniel Amos, Tom Howard.
Yeah, the
those
whole
are kind
crowd.
of those were his running buddies
Daniel
at the
Amos
time.
and that whole...
Yeah.
He was a whole... You know what? I'd love to see a documentary on that whole crowd, because there's got to be some great stories from back then.
Yeah, well, a lot of it, well, some of it comes out here.
Yeah,
and
but-
so the stuff that Terry Taylor talks about is he's pretty candid. He's kind, but he's candid. I
Yeah.
think, and that's what a lot of this is. Like nobody's out to bash anybody here, but they seem to speak honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
So this guy, David DeSabatino, is a filmmaker, and apparently he's from Ontario, and I didn't know
Oh,
this.
I didn't know that.
And he's living in the U.S. now, but he made this documentary and really just followed the story, is what I was told. He wasn't out to make a a left or right leaning anything. It was just hey, let's make a documentary, and this is how the story turned out.
Yeah, I think that's the sign of a good documentary, is you don't tell it how to turn out. It just turns out on its own, takes
Yeah.
its own direction. That's not unlike what we do here. If you can't tell, there's absolutely no script, no planning, no anything. We
Wait a
pick
minute.
5 or 6 songs, and that's the extent of it. There's no planning here, folks.
Is this the part where I pull out my cell phone? Oh no.
So, okay, you know what? Give us some final thoughts on the Randy thing before we move on to the next part. I think I said my part.
We got a new follower on Twitter.
A new follower on Twitter. That's a winner.
We're real 80s CCM on Twitter, so if you're not following us, you should.
You should be.
Because we're just as cool there as we are here.
Yeah, and we're trying to build a community here, folks, and it's working, and we thank you all for being involved with it. So we're going to leave the Randy Stonehill, though I'm going to cheat and put a Larry Norman song at the end of the night, but anyways, we'll come back to that. So we're going to talk about the Lifters. Now, this is the band that you never heard that you should have heard of it. Now, the reason I say never heard is hang on me. We listened to the Lifters, but the reality is that I discovered recently that nobody else did. Nobody had any clue who we were talking about.
Listen, I remember nobody listened to them because I played it. I played the cassette, and people told me to stop.
Listen, they're a 50s rockabilly band, and they were part of that whole what was that scene again, Scott? Undercover.
Oh yeah, like with Altar Boys,
Oh,
Undercover, Lifesavers, and Lifters was actually in that crowd. They weren't a punk band, but actually a 50s rockabilly band was considered punk essentially because I mean that's what the Stray Cats were doing, and
It was definitely alternative.
yeah, it was alternative, right? So we don't have to call it punk; we can call it alternative. But they came out of the same record label as some of these other guys too. So that MRC thing.
Well, yeah, and just reading here that the wife of one of the guys in the Lifters' brother is married to the sister of one of the guys in Altar Boys. Some guy tries to explain this on his webpage, and full kudos to him.
I'm gonna get a pencil here.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be tried. I don't know what this guy's name is. I should know. He doesn't byline his stuff, and he should. Anyways, I was reading the guy's article online about this, and it goes on for a whole paragraph. And by the end, I'm so confused that it's okay. That's how he closes out his paragraph. Okay, now I'm confused.
So this is like the Mennonite game of California punk rock.
Yeah. Everybody's sort of related and knows each other. Lifters went on, though, to be another band. Oh, and this gets complicated. They went on to be Wild Blue Yonder. So Wild Blue Yonder actually had a female lead singer who was, and this is well known actually. I can't find it now because this isn't a page about Wild Blue Yonder. So they went.
Well, it's because they were in the 90s, not the 80s.
Crystal Lewis.
Yeah.
Crystal Lewis, who actually had a fairly successful solo career after Wild Blue Yonder. A lot of people think, and I spotted this online, that she is the voice. There's a female singer on some of their tunes, that she's that voice, and she's not. Crystal Lewis is not that singer. The female singer is Marnie Sonnenberg, and that's about as much as we know about her. She has no history.
Was she married to somebody in the band or something?
Yes, she's somebody's wife. Yeah.
That seemed to happen a lot with these bands.
Yeah, they broke Ray's cardinal rule of bands, and I'm not going to say it tonight, but
yeah,
every guy that's ever been in a band should know exactly what my cardinal rule of bands is when it comes to inviting women to join bands. And believe me, there's nothing wrong with having women in bands. I believe it's a positive, but there's one circumstance under which it is a negative. But I won't get into that. Everybody who's played in a band knows exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, so the Lifters were a personal favorite of mine in the 80s, but, I got a real soft spot for rockabilly. Always have, always will. So, soft spot of mine. Well, you know what? Let's play one song, and then we'll come back and get Scott's opinion here.
So which one we got up here?
We are going to play Operator. This was the one.
I like this song, and she's got the intro to this song,
and
she kills it, right? And
she does.
So here's the thing. So the Lifters had an EP that was 6 songs or 7 songs, and then this is after that.
Yeah,
so
this is the album afterwards.
This is the full-length album. So I listened to that 6-song EP for a while, and I was really liking it. And they put out a full-length album, and I take it home and I put it on, and there's a chick singing. Was what happened, right?
Yeah.
So, but on this song, Operator, she kills it right from the intro. And I thought, well, obviously they added her for the right reasons, because she just added something to the band here.
Absolutely. In fact, quite frankly, this is probably one of the best songs they ever did. But I'm talking quality of music. It's not this is Scott's personal favorite, but quality of music. This is probably the best song they did, I think.
It's
very
got a lot
high
going
quality.
for it.
Yeah, let's play it now. It's called Operator by the Lifters.
Oh, operator, give me heaven.
Hey, that is the Lifters, Operator. Probably, correct me if I'm wrong, folks. Leave it in the comments. I think it's really their best song. I think it's really, really well done song. Anyway, so that's what we know about that song. I think we covered the band. Is there anything else that we didn't mention about the Lifters? They went on to be the Wild Blue Yonder.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I have their first album. Even though it's in '90s, I think it's going to go up in the website. Yeah, did we cover them? We covered the rather strange connection with them with everybody else.
They were kind of a band that didn't seem to have a big backstory other than the one that we've already told, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of bands that had a big backstory, whether it was Servant or Res Band or Petra or these guys. They had more of a legacy, but the Lifters, they came and they went, and we enjoyed them while they were here.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so them going on to do the Wild Blue Yonder thing, that's another. I think it's another chapter, another story.
Yeah. The band was slightly altered for that. So, anyways, we'll you know what? We'll put that on the list of things to cover. Like, there's a real shortage of things we want to cover. Okay. So now that was Scott's favorite Lifters tune, which, like I said, I think is one of their best produced songs. My personal favorite is one I'm about to play now. It's called "Be Like You." And as is getting to be very normal on this show, Ray picks the rock and roll tune and Scott picks the quality produced tune. So it seems to be the road we're headed.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
I don't know. Be Like You from the Lifters.
Always, 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 I always wanna be like you. Always, 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 I always wanna be like you. When my friends say, man, what's been going on? Your life is different, ain't doing no wrong. They say, man, what's going on with you? You ain't acting like you used to. But there's one more thing that I wanna do. I forever wanna be like you. Now always, 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 I always wanna be like you. Always, 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 I always wanna be like you. Oh, yeah. Well, I wanna be like you every day. What would you do and what would you say? I wanna be like you every way. Oh, that's why I'm gonna say now always, 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 I always wanna be like you. Always, 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 I always wanna be like you. Oh, well, my friends say, what's going on with you? You ain't act like you used to. They say, hey man, is there something wrong? I say, no man, I'm doing strong. Cause there's one more thing that I wanna do. I forever wanna be like you. Now always, 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 I always wanna be like you. Always, 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 I always wanna be like you. Oh, well, I wanna be like you every way. What would you do and what would you say? I wanna be like you every day. Well, that's why I'm gonna say now always, 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 I always wanna be like you. Always, 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 I always wanna be like you. Always, 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 I always wanna be like you.
And that's the list. Lifters, Be Like You. As a note of interest, just a very quick piece of trivia about the Lifters was that their first album listed them as Lifters, no the. The ISBN registration was Lifters, and then when the second album, that was the EP, then when the second album came out as The Lifters, they went back and modified the original ISBN. But
Well, you can't
they
do
were
that.
originally known as Lifters, which if anyone notices how I cataloged it on the website, I cataloged it as Lifters. And then this album, because they were Lifters, not The Lifters on that album.
Right.
And then this album, they were The Lifters. So, but where I'm going with all this is, when they were The Lifters, not The Lifters, that had to be intentional.
Well, yeah, but it's like people start out with this quirky idea of, hey, let's name our band something unique, and then nobody will forget it, and then they realize that's a marketing disaster, and their agent makes them change it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened here. Hey, if anyone from The Lifters or Lifters catches this show, shoot us an email. Tell us about it.
So here's the thing. So the word lifters. What's up with that?
Well, they're lifting us up.
You think so?
That's got some religious connotation.
I thought it had to be about the cars. You know, you could put lift kid in the car.
Maybe. Didn't they lower cars back then? No,
Huh.
I think they just did them factory, didn't they? No, guys lifted the rear end
Yeah.
because then they could get better traction in the quarter mile. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cars, a whole other area of interest for the two of us. It's for
Yeah,
another
yeah.
show.
So I think it's about the cars actually.
It might be about the cars. Actually, I'm not even going to argue that. It might be. Excellent band. Both their EP and their album are on our website. I'm going to look into the Wild Blue Yonder stuff, but that is not rockabilly. It's not 50s. I don't know what it is because I haven't listened to it yet, but it's something different. I have not. You know, folks, the one thing I got to say is since we became involved in this project, I cannot believe the amount of music that was out in the 80s that we had no exposure to. Partly because we were in Canada, and on the other hand, we had exposure to bands, you know, our American listeners have never heard. So, but there is some bands that
There's a lot of that regional stuff, right? But
there's a
yeah.
lot more regional than I had any clue
Yeah.
existed, and we're finding more stuff. You know, I would say every week I find. I hate it, probably 2 performers a week out of 5 performers a week I put out. At least most weeks, 2 of them are people that I didn't know about until someone brought them to our attention, and this happens a lot. And you know what? This is a great
Is it
genre.
me? Am I bringing them to your attention? Is it?
Sometimes it's you, and sometimes it's
So our loyal listeners,
David,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of our most loyal listeners, and he has exposed me to more CCM music than I've been exposed to in the last 25 years. He has,
I think David is testing you.
I think he is
I don't
testing.
know,
but
but-
you know what, David, keep him coming.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you connect some of your requests, but you know what, you're helping me learn more about the music from the era, and you know what, that's just too good for words. There's nothing I can say about that. Hey, if you want to talk to us about a certain band, or you want a certain band, or you want our opinion on a band, but you don't want to go public with a big message, hey, shoot us an email. real80sccm@gmail.com. Send us a YouTube private message. Can they Twitter us privately, Scott? I'm not a
Oh yeah,
Twitterer.
you can DM us.
Okay.
So if I'm following you and you're following me, then we can DM each other, right?
Yeah.
But
I'm
I like to follow people back as long as you don't seem really crazy.
Yeah.
And then,
I don't do
yeah.
the Twitter. Scott's in charge of the Twittering thing. No, we don't have an Instagram. We couldn't really figure out a need.
The need is I don't want to.
We got enough to do, folks.
Yeah.
This is a lot more work. Hey, but I want to be clear. I was complaining earlier. There was a lot of work. That's not complaining. This is a labor of love, and that's actually when I was just talking about David there, sending me requests every week or every couple weeks. He sends me requests. You know, I just couldn't be more happy to go out there and find more music that we never heard. You know, we had visions when we started this channel that, this should be 3-4 months work and we'll be all done and then we can just talk about stuff. No, this is more like 2 years work.
Well, yeah. Oh, well, let me put it this way: we've identified 2 years worth of work.
Yeah. Yeah, and
That's how
David
much
hasn't
we've-
even sent me an email this week yet.
Well, no, but if we can already measure out 2 years of work
Yeah.
of getting this material out there, then obviously there's more than that.
Yeah.
But it's work and it's good work.
No, it's
fun.
not. It,
And it's
work is kind of the wrong term, but it's
No, yeah. I mean, obviously we could quit any time. Right?
But it's-
You
it's-
could quit any
Oh,
time,
yeah.
couldn't you? You could quit any time.
I just like smoking. Hey, it's
I didn't mean that.
all the way back to the lung cancer song. Hey, but it's a labor of love. We really enjoy what we're doing. Bottom line, if you want to, I had a kind of a comment last week. Somebody sent me a message and said, they kind of wanted to chit chat with me about something, but they didn't want to do it in a big public forum, and that's understandable. Hey, we're still small enough, local enough. You want to talk to either of us about anything? Email, Twitter DM. Whoa, I know the jargon for Twitter.
Yeah, you got promoted there.
Twitter DM. There's a number of ways to get to us, and if you want to talk about something privately, by all means. And if you know what, we don't know the answer, I can guarantee you at this point, we can find you an answer. I think at this point, if you have a question or something you want to talk about, if we can't help you, we can find the person to help you. I can almost guarantee that.
We could make something up though.
We could just make it up if it's not that important to you too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could just like yak about it. But yeah, we could probably find a legitimate answer. So we found a really good community. That's one of the things last night. I'm going to call that community.
Yeah.
Because it was absolutely having a bunch of people out that wanted to watch this thing and talk about this thing and sit around and enjoy some refreshments with us.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
It was second to none. Second to none. Had to. Oh, I don't know. It was the first staff meeting of Real 80s CCM is all I'm going to say. There actually is a circle of people that are helping us out here, and their names will be coming out a bit over time, but a bunch of them were at this thing last night. So technically it was our first staff meeting, really.
Oh, that was our annual holiday party.
Yeah, that's what it
there you
was.
go.
Yeah, so it was great to get together.
Speaking of holiday party, we got some... Oh, stop that. I whacked my phone. Don't worry, it's okay. Holiday party. What was I saying? We got holiday music coming up.
Oh, yeah. We should have holiday music coming out. Hopefully at least one album's out by the time you're listening to this podcast or watching it. Is it really a podcast when they're watching it? Is it a vlogcast? What does it turn out as?
We're creating language here. I don't know.
I don't know either. We call it
But
a podcast.
yeah, we're on Stitcher, so that's a podcast, and
Yeah.
we're on the other thing that I forget the name of, and I'm going to work on the Google Play thing.
Right on.
We'll get ourselves out there.
Yeah,
so.
we're getting it out there. So if you're listening to this or whatever you are, we need you to subscribe to our YouTube page for reasons we won't get into. The more people that subscribe, this is a positive for us. Positive for us means you get better quality shows. That said, if you do subscribe, I know every other vlog tells you, oh, hit the notifications button, the bell. Good God, don't do that with us. Don't. Because you're going to get 10 emails every time I put an album out. I put 5 albums out a week. You're going to get 50 notifications a week of new songs. So good God, don't hit the notification button. Hit the subscribe button. If you follow your subscribers feed, it'll all be there. So that's the secret. There's something that the other vloggers don't tell you. Probably avoid that notification button.
Yeah,
Just my
I'm
opinion.
not a fan of push notifications. Yeah.
Exactly, a push notification, and it'll push notify you for, I don't know, how many songs did it put up last week? 48 or something, 52, I don't know what it was. You don't want to be notified 52 times. And furthermore, it's going to frustrate you. You're going to unsubscribe, which is bad for us. So
Nobody would ever leave us, Ray. They're not that kind of people. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's tell them about this last song then.
tell us about the last song, Scott, and then I'm going to take us out with it.
Okay, so I'll tell them about the last song then. So, we played Norman's Kitchen earlier by Randy Stonehill, which was from his 1973 album, which was mostly a demo album that Larry produced for him. And now, this other version of the same song, it's a totally different song, but it is the same song. So Larry recorded this version, and he called it Sitting in My Kitchen. It's not Norman's Kitchen anymore, it's my kitchen. And it's funny because it's the same story, but it's a different telling of it. And this is a full studio version. This was done in, boy, I don't have the year off the top of my head here, but it's the 2000s for sure. It's 21st century recording. And Larry put this out on his Home at Last album. And I really liked it. And then making this connection between the old and the new, it's even better.
Yeah, I haven't got a date on it. So this is the story almost kind of... We had Randy's side. So now do we get a little bit of Larry's side? Is that the idea?
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's play the song. Thanks for listening today, folks. I know we're a little over an hour. We apologize for that. But we played an extra song this week. It's my fault. I picked an extra song. Which was...
it's actually Randy's fault.
It's Randy for putting out such a darn good album. Yes, all the music played, all the links are down below if you want to listen to the songs. They're all right down below. Thanks again for listening. Thanks again for watching. Some of you may know to watch all the way to the end. If not, we'll just leave it at that. We're going to leave you with Larry Norman, Sitting in My Kitchen.
Kitchen, thinking about my life. read my Bible, some pages fell onto the floor. Well, it's an old one that my father had and his father before. It's been with me since my childhood. I was saved in 52. When I look back at my troubled life, I give thanks I made it through. I am free, I can see, and I'm who I wanna be. Mercy me, mercy me, mercy me. Why does it take so long? To learn to stand and be strong. I grew up in San Francisco, in a real rough neighborhood, where they beat you bad if you were tough, and worse if you were good. But I came through those times with a lot of love for those boys that knocked me down. And I pray someday I'll see them and we'll be standing on sacred ground. I am free, I can see, and I'm who I wanna be. A mercy me, mercy me, mercy me. Oh yeah, I am free, I can see, and I'm who I wanna be. Mercy me, mercy me, mercy me.
Is this thing on?
Or all the amateur DJs. Test, check, test, check, test, check. Boy, you can never. That's a brand new DJ every time. Just talk. Fuck.
Right.